Welcome to Frequent Traveler TV. Today's topics are Austrian is avoiding a strike over Eastern, so it's good news. Then we have something from Reddit. There is somebody complaining that he got kicked off the aircraft because he was called fatphobic. What happened? Somebody who was a little bit oversized was sitting in his seat and he complained. Then we do have the data, which is the most utilized aircraft in this year. Lufthansa is getting more in the game for more 350 extra wide bodies. They are leasing them, used ones. Lufthansa is kind of sucking the market from all 787 and 350s, which are available. And we have Hilton Garden Inn in Bali, which is one of the best Hilton properties to get rid of points. And I use this property regularly, but we have some sad news and some good news. If you have an American Express Hilton credit card in the US, if you don't have one, talk to me. I have options how you can get them without being resident in the United States and paying taxes or stuff. So let us start with the first topic. The first topic today is Austrian Airlines. Austrian Airlines was one of the unknown if there's going to be a strike. Earlier this week, there was already a strike. It was not a kind of a strike like we used to see it, that the people are striking. They just have a kind of a meeting, a staff meeting. And then the aircrafts had to be on the ground and 100 flights were cancelled. So anyways, the union, which is called VITA or VIDA in Austria, they have a solution with the management. So they have now a contract. The first contract, they didn't accept. The contract was offering 12.3%. And this contract is now most likely a little bit higher. We will see how the details are in the next episode. But if you're flying over Eastern with Austrian Airlines or Lufthansa Group and you are flying on an Austrian Airlines aircraft, no headache, they are flying. Then we have from OAG the data, and the data shows us which is the most used aircraft by available seat kilometers. The ASK, which is the measurement, or AHKs, is the measurement for the load of routes. And since 2008, there has been the A320 the most utilized aircraft available seat kilometers, of course, as a base. And now we have a look on it. There are in many ways how airlines assess the performance. However, in the aviation industry, there are 3 Ks. Analysts constantly monitor the revenue passenger kilometers, the RPKs, the cost per available seat kilometer, the CASK, and the available seat kilometer, or ASKs. The latter reflects an airline's capacity by multiplying the number of the seats you have on the flights by the distance flown in kilometers. So very simple, very straightforward program. And the ASKs are giving us data which is kind of interesting because it gives you insight not only into the capacity of the airline, but also on its specific aircrafts, the ranking of the most used aircrafts types worldwide. And that is an interesting sport if you are into these numbers. Interestingly, is the second most productive aircraft was the 320's strongest rival, the 737 in its 800 variant. However, the former's capacity was 41% higher than later. Consequently, in 2022, the Airbus A320 was by far the most productive aircraft type worldwide. And there you see why so many airlines like to have the 320 in the fleet. Finnair, even they are thinking about new aircrafts, which is pretty good. Then Lufthansa is having a big A320 fleet. A lot of airlines are having 320 fleets worldwide. And the question is now, which airline operated the most Airbus A320 flights? A little help to answer these questions is the word orange. Which airline is orange? Which airline is orange and white? And of course it was a low-cost carrier. It was EasyJet, as Ryanair has no 737s. and the most significant operator of the 320, producing 38 billion air seat kilometers. Notably, EasyJet's Airbus 320s produced the most between London Luton and Tel Aviv. That is the most dense route, for a total of almost 653 million, followed by Faro from London Gatwick with 553, and Catania to Milan, Malpensa with 543. And we say that these ASKs are showing us how the industry is changing. It was not always the way that the narrow bodies were there and dominating the market, but the historic data released by OAG shows that in the 1990s, the Boeing 747-400 was the most productive aircraft, producing 462 billion ASKs. Unlike what we witnessed for 2022, half of the aircraft of this type in the top 10 list were wide-body aircraft, which the only Airbus aircraft, the Airbus 320-100-200s, ranking 7th out of 10 with 146 ASKs. So in 1997, the Boeing 747 reflects the market's condition at the time when long flights were mainly for wide bodies. And we see now that these flight distances are covered more and more by narrow bodies. And another interesting thing is that 8 of the 10 most productive airlines in 1997 were from the Asia Pacific region. And of course, who was the most producing ASKs? Singapore Airlines. So that is how you can see what is used. Singapore Airlines Boeing 747 was primarily deployed to Europe and North America. Singapore to London was the highest producer of ASKs for the carrier, 6 billion, followed by Singapore to Zurich with 2.95 billion, and Frankfurt to Singapore by 2.94 billion. But in 2008 it changed, and it went from the 747s 400 to the 320s, and they had to replace the Queen of the Skies. That is the story, very short, but the main takeaway is that Airbus has the crown with the A320, and in 2022, wide-body and single-aisle aircraft are equally split in the top 10 list of the most productive aircraft. Moreover, Airbus and Boeing enjoy an equal share in its list, with 5 of the highest producers of ASKs being, of course, Boeing and aircrafts. So anyways, that is kind of interesting that you know how the shift is coming and that we are going more and more into narrow bodies. You see it, for example, if you are flying with SAS, there have been flights from Stavanger to New York. Maybe those are coming back. But Copenhagen, Stockholm, there are the A320 LRs or 21 LRs flying. And when the XLR comes, I think this number will even go higher. But these aircrafts are counted differently. So you have different counting for the A20s, 100, 200s, and then we have for the A20 Neos and the new LR as well, when these aircrafts get more popular and more into demand. But now Lufthansa is increasing its wide bodies, yes, and with just over 900, 350-900, there's a 900, right? The German airlines plans to acquire a few more as increasing global demand for the air travel requires higher capacities from Lufthansa, and Lufthansa sees that the summer will be more demand having, and that is why we get the A380s. But what they did now is that they took some aircrafts from LATAM Airlines. Actually, they were parked in the desert, the same with South African Airways, and Lufthansa is putting life in these aircrafts. And of course, Lufthansa is not a stranger, as they acquired already for the current fleet the Philippine Airlines aircrafts, which are still flying with the interior of Philippine Airlines. I'm pretty sure that the new aircrafts, new in quotation marks as they are already used, will have, of course, the new product, which is called Alegres. Just to give you some ideas about the bodies, the LATAM ones are the oldest with 6.9 years, nearly 7 years. Then the second one is 6.6, 6.3, and those are owned by the Bank of Utah. So you see where the money comes from. And they have been used by LATAM Brazil, like the next one, which has been used by LATAM Brazil. It's a Wilmington Trust Company, which is only 3.4 years old. That is the youngest they take over. And then they take 2 over, which have been flying for South African, and they are owned by Avolon, which is an Irish company which lost 100 aircrafts nearly to Russia. So they're still in the market. Anyways, 4.7 and 4.5 years are those aircrafts old, and they are all stored. The first ones I mentioned, the first 4 are in Victorville, and the other 2 are stored in Teruel. Teruel is not so far away, as the 380s know this place very well. Now let us look at, in my opinion, a thing which is really important to talk about, and that is when it comes to people which are oversized. I myself, I'm 2 meters and 1 centimeter. I'm oversized when it comes to the normal seats, and a man was called fatphobic and kicked off the flight after complaining that obese men took his seat. An airline drama has been lighting up at Reddit and attracting more than 4,000 reactions, over 2,000 comments in less than 15 hours. And there you see how pressuring this problem is. A man who says that he is 18 years old, traveling home to his own home country. He didn't mention where it was going. Had just boarded a second connecting flight, which he said would last roughly 12 hours when things seemed to get ugly very quickly. His quote is, "I had a delightful sight of an obese man who was taking up a good chunk of my seat." And then he said that, how should we say it? It is a section which is called AITA. Am I the a-hole? And that is asking the people for their opinion. And this is why I ask you for your opinion. What do you say about people who are obese and when they are overfloating your seat? And the man continues his no-holds-barred narrative about the situation, went on, "I'm not a small guy myself. I have quite broad shoulders and around 190, so nearly 6'3". 2 meters and 1 is 6'7". So, you know, I'm even taller. And so the full seat would already have been uncomfortable. And that is why I don't fly economy class. But anyways, I told the flight attendant about the issue, and she told me that the seat was paid for by this close person and the flight was full. And he asked the flight attendant how it's possible that my seat is still rendered as available as it was being used for someone's literal roles. Then he added on how the airlines wasn't absolutely terrible just a few years ago. It was just this incident, they just went downhill in quality. And he said the comments prompted the flight attendant to call me rude and just made her double down, having me kicked off the plane. So she reassured me I would be compensated for his trouble, and as I told her, I wasn't traveling for vacation. Then the Redditor provided other facts and said the fat man took his opportunity to call me a fatphobic shit. And some other people around gave me the stink eye. Then he knows that he thinks that they think that he's a bad person. But on the other hand, he's having to pay for the lack of discipline of other people as well as his shitty airline's booking system. The man continued, the airline staff sent a letter of complaint that I got appealed, and the consequences in the complaint being a temporary ban were removed less than an hour later. In the letter of the complaint, I said I was being rude to the other passenger and the staff since it got appealed so quick and I got to travel the next day anyway. I'm really not sure if he is the a-hole. Accused the man of conclusion AATA for comments that have offended both the fat man and the airline staff. So now let us deep into it and see what is the problem. The problem is that the seats are getting more and more narrow, that they are all getting more condensed. Of course, on one side, airlines want to make money, but on the other side, we have to fly somehow in a comfortable way. And when you see mankind growing all the time, so people are getting bigger, but the seats and the pitches are getting smaller. That is something which is going to be kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy that people are getting more and more aggressive and annoyed, and you ask yourself, why are people freaking out on board? But what do you say to this situation? What is your opinion on it? Do you say that this is something where you have just tough luck? Or is it something where you say, no, that we have to fight? That is something which is not okay. I, in my opinion, have to tell you that I think that everybody should be on this seat. And I try to be on my seat if I'm sitting in economy class, in exit row or somewhere. And I try to make it not more uncomfortable for the other person than necessary. Because, of course, sometimes when I'm in the Finnair ATRs, what should I do? I cannot put, when there's a suitcase under the seat, I have to put my foot on the suitcase. I'm sorry. That is what it is. But I'm looking forward to your opinion. I'm looking forward to your holy words and looking forward that you comment. And if you're commenting already, it's not far-fetched for you just to hit the notification button and, of course, subscribe to the channel supporting us. Thank you for doing it. As we are all about more miles, more points, more status, of course we have something about miles as well. Hilton and the Hilton Garden Inn Bali near the airport used to be 12,000 points. And this 12,000 points increased now to 15,000 points. And of course it has been one of my favorite places because it's really a beautiful property. It's even in walking distance to the airport. I did walk there, yes. It's a little bit the problem when you have this high sidewalks where you go to the street down and then go up and down. But anyways, it used to be 5,000 points. And the pool isn't great, the breakfast is great, so I liked it. But unfortunately, Hilton did move away from the categories in March 2017. And so this is a problem that when you see now the points coming up and down, that it's now even 15,000 points. And that is for a standard room. I mean, it is a room which costs nearly $40 or $50 only. So it's getting a bad change. But unfortunately, maybe more of our fellow travelers did use the property. So Hilton is increasing the prices which are needed. And that is unfortunate. Let me know if you have stayed in the property or what property in Bali you like. I'm going, if I'm not staying just for the night or for the airport or nothing to do, I go to the Grand Hyatt, which I love, or I go to the W, which is a great property as well. So that said, let me know what is your secret crush hotel on Bali. Maybe in Hilton, another one, the Conrad. Let me know. If you have a US credit card with American Express, then good news for you. And the good news is, yes, that American Express is pleased to let me know that I've received my annual weekend night reward from Hilton Honors. So maybe you can check your account if you have received this one as well. If you are interested in American Express credit cards in the US and you have no residency or no social security number, you're living outside somewhere, and maybe you have already an American Express credit card, let me know. You can use this number, or let me remove this. You can use this number and send me a WhatsApp message and we discuss your options, what you can do to get American Express credit cards in the US fast if you have already one, or what your options are if you don't have one and how you can build up your credit. Thank you for watching Frequent Traveler TV and being part of this community. Looking forward that you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button, the bell, and of course comment. And thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye.